Tem um momento na carreira que precisamos dar um passo além. É hora de fazer uma pós-graduação. Só que muitas vezes o custo pesa no bolso, inviabilizando tudo. Com a pós-graduação do Senac, você não tem esse problema. Cursos com até 50% de desconto e muito mais tempo para pagar. TCC opcional, modelo flexível com aulas presenciais e online e alguns cursos com apenas 12 meses de duração. Não tem mais desculpa, hein? Saiba mais em sp.senac.br/pós-graduação.
Esse podcast é um oferecimento de Samsung Galaxy AI. E sabe o que mais ele te oferece? Que tal um intérprete em tempo real na palma das suas mãos para você nunca mais ter problemas em viagens ou reuniões? E falando em viagens, não precisa mais ficar com aquela foto torta. Com a câmera aprimorada, você deixa sua foto genial sem ter que baixar outros apps. Tem tanta coisa que o Samsung Galaxy AI pode fazer por você. Clica aí no banner para descobrir o que. Galaxy AI, a inteligência artificial nas suas mãos.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're continuing our neighborhood guide series where we talk with Portlanders about the good, bad, and ugly of where they live. And this time, we're talking about East Portland's Lents neighborhood with Crystal Ligori. Crystal is host of OPB's All Things Considered and the narrator of their award-winning food series, Super Abundant. She's sharing why Lents is the best neighborhood she's resided in her nearly 2 decades of living in Portland. It's Thursday, December 12th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Before we jump in, I just wanted to say that I'm really excited to share with you our latest neighborhood guide. Honestly, these are some of my favorite episodes we get to do because they help connect all these seemingly disparate parts of Portland into the larger and more beautiful kaleidoscopic city it truly is. It's a big reason I'm asking you to become a member, which you can do right now at membership.citycast.fm. Just this week alone, we talked to a Washington Post reporter who gave us a local perspective on a national issue. We shone a light on the troubling amount of human trafficking happening right in our own backyards, and now we're going to tell you all about the best places to check out in Lents. Because we all know life in Portland isn't just about trudging through the serious stuff, it's also about all those fucking cones, as Portland Reddit would say. It's those in-between moments that delight, surprise, and inspire us. So whether we're celebrating the people and places that make Portland unique, diving into more serious issues, or uncovering a hidden gem you didn't know was right around the corner, we're happy to be able to bring a little joy alongside the knowledge that keeps you engaged and connected. You can support our work by becoming a member at membership.citycast.fm. For as little as $8 a month or $80 a year, you can help us keep connecting the dots for Portland. Head to membership.citycast.fm to join us, and yes, there are still free tote bags. So before we get into specific spots, do you want to name the boundaries of Lents? Because I never know when I'm in Foster Power or when I'm in Lents.
Right. So you sort of cross over once you cross over 82nd. So
Okay.
Lents is one of the largest neighborhoods in Portland. It encompasses around like 3.5-4 square miles. So it's bordered by Powell on the north, Clatsop Street-ish to the south, southeast 82nd, and then to the west 112th. So it's a big square with 205 right down the middle.
Well, give me your best Lents pitch. Like, what do you love about living there? And here's the thing, Crystal. I know you love Lents so much because when I was looking for a house, you were just like, let me tell you about Lents, you know?
I feel like I'm a Lents evangelist,
Oh, no,
for sure.
You really are. So what's your best pitch here?
So for me, I feel like there is a lot to love about Lents, but one of the best parts for me is really feeling like you're part of a community. So I've been in Portland for about 18 years, and even in the other neighborhoods I lived in, I never felt like I was part of the community. And maybe that's an age thing. Now that I'm older and more mature, I feel a little more in the mix, but I know my neighbors. I feel like I see the same folks when I'm on my walks with my dog, and I just feel connected in a way that I didn't feel connected when I lived in other neighborhoods closer in. I feel like there's also a lot of great transportation options if you are in a car or on the Max because you're right off the 205. I feel like I can get almost anywhere in town closer than I could when I was living off 39th and Clinton-ish area.
Oh, wow.
So even being 50 more blocks out, I feel like I can get to places in the same amount of time. It's also really nice when you're wanting to get out of Portland. You just hop on the 205 and you're out to the coast, you're out to Mount Hood. Like, it's amazing. There's also a really big Max station here, a big stop. So when we go downtown to Blazers games, we don't have to take a car. We just hop on the Max and it's very easy. And there's really a fair amount of walkable bars and cafes, different restaurants. Plus, like my big thing, there's a 38-acre park right in the middle of Lents, which is incredible.
Wait, is that where the Pickles play?
That is where the Walker Stadium in Lents Park is where the Pickles play. But it's an incredible resource that in the summertime, everyone is at the park. It is the place to be. There's a big off-leash dog area. There's a community garden. There's a playground. There's a huge soccer pitch inside the park area, plus the stadium, plus other baseball areas for folks who aren't the Pickles to play. And I just think you get a lot more bang for your buck when you're out here. If you're looking for a place to rent or to buy, homes are typically larger, lots are larger, and they cost less. So when we were looking for a house in 2018, I think we probably paid around $60,000 less than the other houses that we had offered $60,000 more, and we didn't even get it. So yeah, a lot more bang for your buck.
Is it still so?
I definitely think so. I was looking at a rental property that's down the street from us, and it was 2-bedroom, yard, pets accepted. And I want to say it was around under $2,000 a month, which to me, I've talked to folks who live in apartments that are, 1-bedroom apartments that are like $1,700.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about the positives. Now, what are a few of your gripes?
So I feel like I mentioned it was great for cars and max transportations. Bike, not so much. I feel like there's a lot of drag racing that happens down 92nd. And both the 205 bike path and Johnson Creek bike path feel kind of unsafe to bike on, frankly.
Yeah.
And it would be an awesome resource for folks if biking on there was easier. And I think Lents feels a little lawless in some ways. There's a lot of cars out here that have no front plate or back plate on their cars and just kind of, whiling out when you're out in Lents. So I do think that's hard.
Yeah, I hear pedestrians are also not feeling that great walking around unless it's an immediate neighborhood. You know what I mean? But like
100%. Yeah. I feel a lot of folks talk about Old Portland as being sort of this charming, like Portlandia vibe. And I feel like Old Portland it's dirty, it's pretty hard. There's a lot of folks in Lents who are working people who are not going to eat a $300 prefix meal down at the fancy restaurant, in town. But they are out here, and they've been in the community for 50 years, and they're making sure that their neighbors are safe. They're making sure that their house looks nice. They're going to the farmer's market during the summers. So it's definitely a community. I do think also for being as large as it is, it's kind of a little bit of a food desert. As far as accessing grocery stores, it's getting a lot better. The Hung Fat opened in the former Walmart on 82nd. But I feel like most of the neighborhood does not have a grocery option that's within walking distance, which I feel like is key.
Yeah, I feel like whenever there used to be a Walmart or there is a Walmart, there's usually a food desert. And I don't know what comes first.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I do feel like, it's not cool for me to say, I shopped at Walmart. But when that is the most accessible place for groceries, my option was order something off Amazon, get in a car and drive somewhere, or I could walk over to Walmart. So it's not cool, it's not hip, but it's accessible for a lot of people. And so I think when that closed, folks were really nervous about what was going to happen. But I think Hung Fat has really came in and showed that they are going to be like an incredible resource for the community. Tons of fresh, gorgeous produce and fish and meat. And then also just staples like when you need trash bags.
All right, let's take a quick break here. And when we return, Crystal is sharing some of her favorite spots in Lents.
Ideal mesmo para o mundo atual seria fazer o ensino médio junto com o curso técnico, certo? É no Senac que o aluno tem autonomia de verdade, formação cidadã, foco na diversidade, preparação pro Enem, material didático sem taxas e muito mais. Na real, tem tudo que você precisa para se sentir preparado para a vida. Seja para entrar no mundo do trabalho ou te ajudar a decidir o que fazer na faculdade. Quer saber? Senac. Vem comigo! Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino-médio-técnico.
Where would you take someone new to the area? Like someone's coming to visit you. Where are you going to show them off? Like, this is where I live.
So we're definitely, in my mind, this is happening in the summertime.
Okay,
so we're going to
of course,
start
yes.
at the Lents International Farmers Market. I believe it is the only farmers market of its type in Portland where all of the vendors are either BIPOC, international, or women, which is pretty cool. So it seems like there's a lot of diversity, even though it's very, very small. I love that people are like, oh, yes, you get 2 cheese jalapeno tamales. Like, you're that girl. I'm like, yes, that's me. Always get a bouquet of flowers from the flower vendor. They're about the size of a toddler, and they're about $20. So it's
nice.
pretty much a must do every week of the summer. And so we'll start there for sure. And then if there's an afternoon Pickles game, we're going to walk down to Walker Stadium where the Portland Pickles play, but it's actually been a stadium since the 50s, which is pretty incredible. And so we'll go to a Pickles game. If it's in the summer on a weekend, it might be a double header. Pickles also, if you haven't been to a game, Claudia, have you been to a game?
Oh, yeah, I've been to a Pickles game. I mean,
Tons. Okay.
I have a sweater, Crystal.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, for folks who haven't been, all the games are themed. So each day is a different theme. So it could be Exploding Whale Night, where it could be, there was like an emo screamo night, which was pretty incredible. And the Star Spangled Banner that night was exceptional. There is also on Wednesdays, Woof Wednesdays. So you bring your doggos.
I love Wolf Wednesdays.
Did your dog walk the bases? They do the 7th inning stretch.
No,
where...
because they always do. I mean, when I did it, they had a theme. Do you know, like only the labs. Only.
Oh, boo.
I know. And I don't know if they're doing that because there's too many goddamn dogs now or
that
what.
That might be it.
But like when I went, it was like a themed Wolf Wednesday. And I was like, they're never going to do Cavalier King Charles. like when are they ever going to do?
You should write an email, strongly worded email.
Strongly worded email.
Okay, so doubleheader at Walker Stadium to see the Portland Pickles. And then we're probably hungry. So we're going to go back to the Zed, which is sort of the new name of the entity that is constructed around Zeugelhaus Brewing. So that is a German-style brew pub, but they, during the pandemic, have kind of transformed the space to include different stalls for different food cart vendors. Which is incredible because there's so many different options there now. And we are going to eat Nepalese food.
Oh, okay.
At Sherpa Kitchen. So Sherpa Kitchen is this incredible Nepalese spot. If you've never had food from Nepal, it is kind of like a Chinese Indian hybrid as far as the style of the food. So there is sort of chow mein style stuff. There's also different dals. They also have something called momos, which is their version of dumplings, which you have to get the momos every time you go, fried or unfried. But if you're not feeling Sherpa Kitchen, there's about 8 different other restaurants inside of there. We can grab beers or cocktails from Zeugelhaus. We can sit out on the patio area outside. We can sit in the bar. Maybe it's a trivia night. Maybe there's something going on at the Eagle Eye, a couple doors down for karaoke. So I think that could be like a good day out for sure.
Nice. Okay, well, let's talk about where the locals hang out. Like, where are you, you're not impressing anyone. You're just going to do your thing. Like, where are you going?
Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is going to Bella's Italian Bakery. I am also a Bella's evangelist in addition to being a Lents evangelist.
I know, because you used to bring us treats. And to me, I'm like, well, you're still impressing people because Bella's is very good.
Bella's is outrageous. It is some of the best baked goods in Portland, in my opinion. There's also things you can get at Bella's that you literally cannot get at any other spot in Portland at all. The first thing that comes to my mind is something called sfogliatelle. which is Italian pastry. It's also called like a lobster tail.
That's how I know
it's-
it. Yeah.
Yes. And it's pretty big on the East Coast. And it is, I believe it's mascarpone on the inside, but the outside is almost like a croissant, but with more layers exposed. So it's got more crunchy to it. And it's not super duper sweet, which is kind of interesting as well. And if there's another spot that does sfogliatelle, please let me know. I want to try it. But I have not found anywhere else. And I believe they only make them on Fridays and Saturdays because they are so labor intensive.
Yeah.
And I think they only make a dozen or two because it is an incredibly labor intensive job. But literally, I have never eaten anything bad from Bella's. Like, not even bad. I've never eaten anything I wasn't over the moon about. And to the point where my partner and I eloped during the pandemic and we had a little party afterwards. And I just went to Bella's and gave him a couple $100 and said, fill up some boxes with treats. And literally almost every person at the party said, where are these from? What's going on? I'm like, I needed to bring cards to give out to represent Bella's, but fantastic spot. They also do incredible sandwiches, just kind of a classic East Coast grinder. And that is one of my favorite sandwiches in the city too. And of course they bake all their own bread. So
Oh, man.
incredibly delicious. So Bella's to start. Then, especially if it's spring or summer, I'm going to go to Tony's. Little Tony's. So Tony's Garden Center is this incredible garden center where you can just get so many cool options of what to plant in your yard. We're big gardeners. We're trying to get bird habitat certified. And Little Tony's is so super cute. And they have gorgeous hanging baskets and they just have everything. And we're probably there every weekend or every other weekend once spring hits because we want to see what's going on. And it's also gorgeous there. So you could literally just go to Tony's and walk around and hang out.
I have been to Little Tony's, and I think about it whenever I'm like, oh, I need something. But, it's a little further down for me. But yeah, it's a gorgeous place. If you're able to go to it, it's really, really nice.
Super cute. So Bella's, Little Tony's, and then I'm probably either going to go to dinner at Flipside, which is a bar, but then has a bunch of food carts behind it, which is incredible. They also have sort of like an upper deck area, which is gorgeous to sit out, especially if the weather's nice. Or if I'm feeling kind of spicy, I'm going to go to the Eagle Eye and sing karaoke.
Nice.
So I'm not much of a drinker, but I am a singer in my heart. And
I can attest. You have a wonderful voice. I remember you once did Magic Man, and I was like, damn, Crystal, because that's a hard song. By heart?
Yeah, thank you. So Eagle Eye karaoke is the thing, I would say, in the neighborhood. That is going to be a fun night. They do karaoke like 4 nights a week. So it is regular. It's not just a once a week kind of a thing.
Okay, so we now know where you would take someone new to the area. We now know where the locals hang out. Okay, now imagine you're planning the perfect date in your neighborhood. And can I tell you why we're doing this? We started asking this. It's because this adorable listener reached out to us and they're like, hey, we're kind of new to Portland. And the way we're experiencing Portland is we're actually just doing your guides. But we just think it's a perfect date night to explore a new neighborhood. And I was like, of course it is. That's so cute. And they're like, is it possible for you to ask people like what their perfect date would be in their neighborhood?
Okay, so we might start out a little bit cheating because it's slightly out of Lents, but I feel like, I can have it in my sphere is the Leach Botanical Garden, which is absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful, such a hidden gem, like kind of in the middle of nowhere. And it is gorgeous. I think it's really reasonably priced. I want to say it's under 10, I would say, per person to go in. And it has this incredible tree walk, I feel like what it's called.
It's the aerial tree walk. I know exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're literally walking almost as tall as the trees, which is a very incredible perspective of how you're looking at trees that you would never see otherwise. And it is really accessible. So depending on, it's somewhere I could take my folks who are older And I think it's also somewhere you could take a lovely date and sort of stroll within the bushes and whatnot. So I think Leach Botanical Garden, if I can claim it, it's maybe 10 blocks outside of the official Lents perimeter, but I think I am gonna grab that.
By the way, that's the perfect pull quote for Leach if they ever need something for their website. Stroll between the bushes and whatnot.
Just kind of stroll, you know.
Stroll. Sorry, go on.
And whatnot.
And whatnot.
So I also think because I have a new puppy, the dog will probably need a walk. Mm-hmm. So we are going to do the full perimeter of that 38-acre park, which turns out to be about 1.5 mile walk. Mm-hmm. But then when you end, you are at kind of the center of the park, and there's like a little track around it, but there's also, during the summer, folks have blankets all spread out, and they're just chilling in the beautiful 38-acre park in the middle of town. And then I feel like we would end the night going to a Pickles game, if there was one that evening, because I feel like the daytime Pickles games are really fun. The nighttime Pickles games are wild.
Yeah.
So maybe this person on a date with me wants to get a tattoo, because you can get a tattoo at the Pickles game.
Can I add something to your lovely date?
Please do.
I would say after Leach's, you should go to Bella's, get some snacks so you can reward yourself after your very long 1.5 mile walk.
Yes, that is great. Like some little treats from Bella's after the walk. Then we sit in the park, have some snacks. I think that's perfect.
Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to mention about Lents?
Well, so I feel like Lents is kind of hard to lump together into one neighborhood because of its size. It was actually built as its own like town in 1892, and urban sprawl basically incorporated it into Portland in the following decades. So essentially in the 1970s, the entire neighborhood was cut in half by I-205. So that highway was actually supposed to be built along 39th. And then the folks in those inner neighborhoods were like, no, it can't be here. It's got to be further out. So then it was pushed to 52nd. And then people threw a fit again, and it got pushed further and further out. So now it's basically just off 92nd-ish. But interestingly, there's a really big dichotomy between Lents and Maywood Park. So I'm not sure if you're familiar that Maywood Park is its own town. It's got its own mayor. It's its own city within Portland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So Maywood Park was definitely a more rich neighborhood than Lents was. And so in Lents, they said, we're coming right through. We're going to displace a bunch of people. We're going to destroy a bunch of houses in your neighborhood. We're just going to put a highway here. And Maywood Park said, with a hair flip, not in our neighborhood. You're going to go around us. So the 205 goes around Maywood Park, and that happened because Maywood Park incorporated as its own town.
Oh, did they do that so they wouldn't have to get a
highway
tricky
through them? And so I think Maywood Park is an interesting dichotomy and balance to Lents, sort of this idea of how power and money can push back on things in ways that folks who don't have that access can't.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Crystal, thank you for such a wonderful walkthrough. This was so much fun.
My pleasure. And hopefully come out to Lents soon. We'll go to Bella's, we'll go to a Pickles game, and we'll walk our dogs around Lents Park.
I would love that. Thank you. Oh, and also Best Baguette.
Oh, yes. Best Baguette. I did have an entire list of food stuff that I text to your producer, too.
Real quick, we're just going to yell it out.
Okay.
It's HK Cafe, K-Town, Korean barbecue, Best Baguette, Takahashi, which is sushi in Japanese, Sherpa Kitchen, which we spoke about, Ding Tea PDX, Boba Spot, and Taqueria El Cazador.
Yes, an incredible Mexican spot.
And Birreria PDX, which is amazing. And you specifically called out their pepino drink, which is...
cucumber, right?
Yeah.
We're like, yes, all the food.
We did it.
Yes.
Yeah, we did the hell out of Lents. So thank you, Crystal.
Yes, my pleasure. Thanks, Claudia.
And now for some events happening this week. Every Thursday on the show, we like to bring you a few recommendations to help you plan your weekend. And here's what we got. Today marks the start of the 5th annual Fungi Film Fest. This year, Cinema 21 will be hosting the 2-hour celebration of mushrooms and mycelium with 20 cross-genre short films from 17 different countries. There are 2 screenings, one tonight and another on Sunday at 7 p.m. And if you didn't get tickets to the Funhouse Lounge's annual Die Hard musical parody, for $15, you can still catch a screening of the original film this Friday at 7 p.m. at the Tomorrow Theater. Plus, there's trivia before the film where you'll get a chance to win some great prizes. And that's just scratching the surface. If you want to check out more events happening this weekend, sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Portland, or head over to portland.citycast.fm/events. Also, another benefit of becoming a member is you get early access to all of our events listings. You can find a link to everything I just mentioned in the show notes. Before we go, just a reminder that you can support CityCast Portland by becoming a member at membership.citycast.fm. There's a free tote bag in it for you, and if you're already a member, thank you. We could not do this work without you. Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.